Okay, we are in 56a. We're at the top of the daf, at the very top. It says related incident. So it says Amalei Caesar, Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Chananiah. So Caesar, the Roman emperor, once said to Rabbi Yeshua, the son of Rabbi Chananiah, and the article explains that the Roman emperor had several exchanges with Rabbi Yeshua, the son of Rabbi Chananiah, and the name of the emperor mentioned in this dialogue is Hadrian. So for those who have a nice historical memory, the Hadrianic persecutions. He's apparently turns against us after all, but he was talking to Rabbi Yeshua, the son of Rabbi Chananiah. It says, Armito de Chachmitu Tuva, you Jews, so that you are exceedingly wise. Emali, tell me, Ma chazina v'chelma, what I will see in my dream tonight. You're so wise? Yes.
When it's translating for people, different peoples, I just saw this.
Say it again, please.
When it's translating for like Pharaoh and everyone else, it always translates it to Hebrew. If Pharaoh said, "I had," it says in Hebrew because it's a Hebrew book. But did Pharaoh actually talk Hebrew? I assume so, right? Did Caesar speak Hebrew?
Actually, Pharaoh did not speak Hebrew.
Oh.
That's one language that they say he could not speak. He couldn't get it. He didn't come to my Hebrew classes, so he didn't get the grammar. But they say no. That's one language he could not speak, and that's why he told Yosef. The deal with Yosef was that Yosef wouldn't tell anybody that he could speak Hebrew because Pharaoh could not. So we know from that Pharaoh could not speak Hebrew. As far as Caesar, did Caesar speak Hebrew or Aramaic, whatever? This point is Aramaic. Actually, Aramaic is possible he did speak. It's actually very possible he would have spoken that. But you could say that probably not. That Rabbi spoke his native tongue, whatever Romans speak. Latin. But they spoke Latin all the way back? Okay, there you go, Latin. So, whatever they would have spoken, so we're just translating it into the Gemara is putting into the language of the language we're speaking. We're not going to be putting Latin into the Gemara. That wouldn't work out well. So, but all of these things. So also with Pharaoh, when Hashem is telling the story, when Hashem is telling the story of Pharaoh, so he just puts into Hebrew. So we're on 56a1. Okay? So it says, and we're at Caesar. Caesar's talking to Rabbi Yeshua, son of Rabbi Chananiah, says, you Jews are exceedingly wise, so tell me what I'm going to dream tonight. Oh, very nice. So he's giving him a test. Amalei. So Rabbi Yeshua replied to him, Chazit, in your dream, you will see that the Persians will press you into the service of their king. And they will seize you and force you to pasture unclean animals, and they want to say that's pigs, with a staff of gold. As it happened, Caesar thought about this vision the entire night. And at night he actually saw the dream. What is that saying?
You think about it all day long, you're going to dream.
Right. It's on your mind, so you're going to dream. And that goes to what we were talking about the last time. What's on our minds is going to be the dream. So our scroll also wants to say that Persians seems to be a reference to the Sassanids, the heirs of the Persian dynasty and Amoric times. Sassanids warred sporadically with Rome, and this dream vision thus had acute relevance to the Caesar. Okay. So, and then finally, Rabbi Yeshua employs as the strategy to the no, it's no problem. I thought it was the cat. Okay. The general principle mentioned by the Gemara earlier, namely that a person tends to see in his dream things that he had recently been thinking about, and so it was. The Caesar, evidently preoccupied with the vivid and worrisome vision crafted by Rabbi Yeshua, actually saw in his dream what Rabbi Yeshua predicted. Now, I want you to try something when you go home tonight. because you'll find that it doesn't really work like this. If you think about something the entire day, you normally don't dream about that until a couple of days later. So it's very interesting that in this situation, that Caesar is thinking about the whole day, and so much so that it gets into his dream at night. It's just very interesting because, like I said, normally you will notice you are preoccupied with a lot of things, and just let me hear what I'm saying. And it'll take a couple of weeks, a couple of days for your mind to get there. Sometimes it won't, but normally it does. Yeah.
Maybe he was already thinking about the Persians for the.
Say it again.
Maybe he was already thinking about the Persians before he actually.
That's possible. That's also possible. Anything's possible. But like I'm saying, when it comes to dreams, if you try it at home, try this at home, boys and girls. Try this at home.
It seems like the mundane, routine things that we see and do all day long are fleeting, and this kind of comes and goes because it's so routine. But if something unusual, let's say you saw something unusual, or you had an unusual conversation, somebody told you some weird things,
right?
That would stick into your mind, and so I think, this is what from my experience, that's when something really weird happens to you. You could very well dream about that.
Either that, or you want to say you're worried about it.
Yeah.
Either way, that
keeps you up, and when you finally fall asleep, that's what you dream about.
Right. Well, if you're worried about something, it can come up. But if I'm just thinking about going to a Cubs game,
so it could because
the odds are I'm not going to dream about who's going to win the Cubs game, or whatever we're inundated with Trump and Hillary. I don't think anybody, except for their campaign headquarters, is dreaming about them.
I haven't dreamed about this.
Right. So I don't think anybody's dreaming about it. Right. With all the preoccupation we have with that, we don't really. It's not on our minds. Yeah. Even though it's very much there.
You're saying, like what you said, for worrying about things. If you worry about all that, if you're really interested in, not interested, like in a negative way, invested in this. If you're a leader or a Caesar or whatever that title is, and someone tells you that your enemy is going to take you and make you do that.
That's what I'm saying. It could be worry.
Right.
It could be worry, and that's what you're getting. But the only point that this Gemara is trying to bring out is that I will dream about. My dreams are a reflection of what I was thinking that day or a couple of days ago. In other words, it's from inside. So what's that saying, by the way? Let's understand this back in perspective of what we were saying before with all this midrashim. The concept was originally that I'll have a dream, I'll go to my dream interpreter, my dream interpreter will tell me what it means, and it'll come true. We call it self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever you want to call it. The Gemara says it follows your interpretation. Here we're going the other way. Caesar is saying, you guys are so smart, tell me what I will dream. Whoa. That's the ultimate craziness. Tell me what I will dream. So then he gives him this tells him a nice story, a vivid thing is going. He knows that the guy is worried about this. He knows that they're warring at times. So he uses his vision, and just think about also what he's doing. He's pasturing pigs, which is not exactly the best thing for a king to be doing. It's not for a Caesar to do, right? They were eating pig, they were roasting pig. It wasn't like for us, you're making me do pigs, chas shalom sort of thing. But you're doing that, and of course you have a staff of gold, which means, for this guy probably, that I am not going to lose my position as ruler of the area, but I will be subservient to the other ruler, to the pigs. Who are the pigs? These Persians, because I'm a Roman. So the Persians are the pigs. You could see a whole bunch of stuff which could get this guy going. Oh my God! And that's why you could dream it. Yeah.
Is there a difference between knowledge and wisdom?
Yes, there is in Hebrew. Yes. Bina and Dat, you're talking about. Bina is the ability, according to Rashi, the ability to extrapolate. Knowledge is, according to Rashi, again following Rashi, it's Dad is already Ruach HaKodesh. God's helped me understand something. As compared to, in other words, I know 2 plus 2 equals 4, so now I can extrapolate out, knowing mathematics, I can extrapolate out certain things. Or I know point A, point B. That would be Chachma, Bina, Dat. That would be understanding. Wisdom is 2 plus 2 equals 4. Bina is extrapolating. Dat, knowledge, is being, like I said, Ruach HaKodesh. Hashem helps me understand what's going on. Okay? So there would be a difference.
What's wisdom help you with? 2 plus 3 equals 4?
With Chachma is 2 plus 3 equals 5.
Oh, okay. You said
Just for, okay. I said 2 plus 2.
Oh, okay.
I know how to add that much.
Chachma is data.
Data. Okay, good.
Bina is the rules of information.
Okay. Knowing how to apply the rules.
Yeah.
Extrapolating.
Das is if you suddenly know how to do multiplication because of hearing 2 plus 2 equals 4. You're inspired to know what multiplication.
It's very interesting that 2 plus 2 equals 4 and 2 times 2 equals 4.
Yeah.
It's like, why do I waste my time? Okay. Anyway, so I know somebody on the computer is thinking, what does he mean by that? Must be some secret of the Jews. I don't know. Okay. So Amar Shavor Malka de Shmuel. So King Shapir once said to Shmuel, Amrito de Chachmito Tuva. Again, you Jews said you're exceedingly wise. So Emali Ma Chazina Bechelmai. So she says to Shmuel, tell me what I'm going to dream tonight. So Amar So Shmuel says to him, Chazita atu Rama'e v'shavu lach. In your dream, you shall see the Romans come and take you captive. V'tachane bach kashiata brechaya dahava, and they shall force you to grind date pits in a golden mill. Again, the same thing of gold. Why gold? King. Hero kule yoma de orta chazas. As it happened, the king thought about this vision the entire day, and at night he actually saw it in his dream. Same sort of thing. So who was King Shapir? So he says, they explained it as Shapir the first, who was from 241 to 272 CE, and he was the emperor of the Sassanid dynasty. Again, the frequent adversary of the Rome. He is mentioned throughout the Talmud. He's not seen as a bad king, by the way. Yeah.
In Hebrew, is there different words for different rulers?
Different rulers.
Chieftains.
Well, they would be called whatever they were called, like Caesar or Caesar.
Oh, okay.
So you would have president. So president would be Nasi, but yeah, there are. But we're going by the titles of the country. Whenever we're giving these guys titles, it's right, basically. Oh, okay. Like Paro is Paro. That's what they call their Pharaoh. But by the way, Pharaoh's only because they're spelling Paro with a PH. Yeah. So it's really, but they would call him Paro.
No, but you said king, someone.
So yeah, they would have called him King Shapir.
King Shapir, but he was king over the empire of the Assassinids, or
Right, but right. It's like the Ayatollah is the leader of the Iranians. It has nothing to do with Iranian, right? Ayatollah is Iranian, no. Iraqi.
Can a king be in charge of an empire, or is that an emperor in charge of an empire?
A king can be in charge of an empire, yes. Empire, yes. Okay. King can be over an empire. Could also be an emperor. Would be another thing. An emperor, a king, and an emperor. I mean, I'm not sure what the nafkamina would be. So again?
The Megillah calls.
Oh, he's asking what they call. He's asking with the
empire, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, he didn't just rule one area; he ruled.
Right. I can't. Why would they? So you have the. Do you know the difference between an emperor? Why the Japanese called him emperor? They didn't call him king. Versus the Tsar in Russia. Versus Kaiser in Germany. Versus king in other countries.
The word emperor comes from imperare, which means to rule, and they rule over more than one kingdom. Like a king is a Melech is one kingdom. But if you conquer a number of countries and kingdoms, then you become an emperor.
Oh, take it over by force.
Yes.
Yes. Implication.
So,
And it really is a commander. Usually they had a military.
what do you mean, the emperor's only the commander?
It was originally the name of a commander of an army.
Because the King of England has many countries, like Canada.
But it was,
That's it.
they still call him a king, but
Right.
it's the British Empire where they
All right.
come.
So you could both, you could be one of,
You can,
it's interchangeable, you're saying. Okay, there you go. Remember one thing, we're using, again, English to look at all these things. If you would go to King Hussein, it's King Hussein. He's king over whatever, the sand dunes, whatever he has. And if you go to President Obama, it's President Obama. If you go to Russia, was he president?
President, not as president.
Is President Putin? If you go to Israel's prime minister, is a president. Prime minister is president. Actually, in Canada, the same thing. Prime minister would be president. Would be our equivalent of president.
Well, the difference there is that he's the head. The party is voted in, and the head of that party becomes.
They have more of a parliamentary.
I understand, but I'm saying if I was looking
He
at,
is a president in Israel, but he's more in ministry. He doesn't. It's not.
oh yeah, that's
it's
true,
not
that's
the
true,
kind of title.
that's true. But I'm saying if you're equating titles at this point, so the prime minister of Canada is equal to
More
president here.
the election method is a little different. That's all.
Right. Israel, there's no such method.
The president is just a.
President is the figurehead in Israel.
Yeah.
And I never heard of a president when I was in Canada, I never heard of president. It's only in Israel that I
The
heard.
president's elected. He's elected though, popular vote.
Popular vote, I think.
So yeah, then
That's a separate thing. He doesn't really do.
But he has no
The
power.
prime minister
Right.
becomes a leader because his party won the most.
Right.
That's like in England, the king. There is still a king and queen, but there's a prime minister. There's
No, but that's because there's a division of powers already. They lost. The crown lost. That's all. But they still like, what's her name? Elizabeth?
Figurehead.
They still like Elizabeth. And she's too old to
She's a diplomat.
she's unbelievable. She's 100 odd. So is she 100 odd? She's over 100, right?
Doesn't want Charles to get it.
That's right. Charles will never be the king. Forget Charles. He'll be his son before he'll die before he gets it. He's not going to get it. The old lady's going to keep him going. But she's still in good shape too. She's not even getting old. Okay.
mother lived to be 106, so
How old is she already?
90s.
In the 90s.
Oh, she's in the hundreds.
She's
Okay.
saw 11 presidents. So far.
Wow. Now it's interesting that he's saying that. By the way, King Shapir was of the Sassanid. The way that the Rashi is explaining King Shapir, he's saying he's of the Persians. Now that would make more sense for the Gemara, by the way, because if you look at the Gemara, what's his name? The Caesar asked Rabbi Yeshua, but Rabbi Hananiah, what I'm dreaming, and he gives him out the Persians. Now Shavor Malka, who's as Shmuel, they're using the Romans against this guy. So it makes sense, as far as the Gemara is concerned, that he's a Persian. And what's more is you're seeing, by the way, this goes to your question, really to your question, the Gemara really doesn't care who you are. In other words, it doesn't care about all these little warring groups. You either are a Persian, or you're a Roman, or you're a Babylonian. They don't get into all these, let's figure out who's fighting and who we really care about. Because they don't. They just don't care. The Gemara never cared about that. It was more, I'm going to give you the overall picture, which is why when it comes to the story of Hanukkah, we don't call them Syrian Greeks. That's only we, the new generation, who understand that there was a war. If we want to get the whole world history about this, we have to understand. We have to be so nice. God forbid it's the Greeks. No, it's not. Shalom, not those wonderful Greeks. It's the Syrian Greeks. It's that person Ptolemy who wasn't very nice to, or not Ptolemy, Antiochus, who wasn't very nice, but the Gemara doesn't see that. The Gemara says Greek culture, they're the enemy, period. So when it comes to this, again, we can break down, because we want to know who is sharp here, who is this, who is that, and what's going on. So Art Scroll, using whatever history he has, and he's just saying where it's mentioned. He's using whatever history that they have at their hands. They Googled it, I guess. I don't know. Ask even him, right? They're all Googling it somewhere. But they're coming out with, these are the people. Now, what that does for us, and all it does is for us, is to have a nice discussion on the coffee table. Because it really doesn't mean anything. In reality, it doesn't mean anything. That I should know if it's what's his name? A Sassanid or anything else, unless I want to know world history. The only other way, that would also help, by the way, this is why history is sometimes very nice, is if I can get the time frame so I can see what was going on in the world, according to historians. Doesn't mean it's right, but it means I can at least get a feeling of what was going on. Now I can say, okay, what was going on with the world? What was happening in the Jewish world? How much do we assimilate into that? What do we get from that? And sometimes we'll understand some of our decrees a little better. Doesn't mean we can change them. Just means we'll have a better understanding sometimes. And that's, of course, only if we can accept the historian. If I don't accept the historian, or it collides with what the Gemara is interpreting. So now we have, by the way, the Gemara at that point does become a type of history book. The Gemara is recording something for whatever reasons. It's recording, maybe to teach me something in a grandiose term, or maybe to teach me a fact. I don't know that. That's what I have to figure out too. There we say in the Gemara that Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah met Plato. Google that, you'll see they say that's impossible. It's impossible.
Because of the time frame.
Time frame, it's impossible. That's what they tell you. So I have a choice. I can either say the Gemara is wrong. That's one thing. Or I can say, which it's not going to be, that you might as well just join the outer ranks of Judaism to say that statement. You're not going to stay within the Orthodox framework. Or you can say, this would be staying in the framework of Orthodox Judaism, that the Gemara was playing the game, as you will. Now we're saying this is what would happen. That, by the way, would be more to the left of the Orthodox world to say that. That would not be even centrist. I don't think it's even centrist. And then, of course, the other ones to say, they're wrong. The Gemara says it. That's what happened. Leave me alone. I don't need to see what you said. So that's, again, where history collides with us, we're going to default to us much more than history. But where history is interesting is sometimes I can figure out, like we were discussing yesterday with Christianity and Judaism, why was there a necessary break-off? Why couldn't they, if original Christians were Jewish? They had to convert to Judaism. So where did that suddenly break off? When did that end? And why did that end? And what were they trying to accomplish? And what they see that they had to break off? And why did Constantine not choose Judaism? Why did he choose Christianity? That's another question. By the way, when he did that, of course, Christianity went from a small fringe group to the major group that we have today. I'm saying, but the question is, why did he choose one over the other? All those questions are historically very interesting, but they do nothing for you in the end. Yeah.
Just for reference, like historical
Go ahead.
reference, there was the unified Rome, which was East and West,
Mm-hmm.
and then it split, and the West fell to the Visigoths and Ostrogoths, and the East was still there with Constantinople and Justinian,
Right.
and all those. The Jews were already exiled for the second time by the time the Eastern Roman Empire was around. By the time
Okay.
of Justinian, right? Is that
We were in exile throughout the entire Roman rule.
right, but wasn't before we overlapped sometime, like when it says the Romans sent a sacrifice, or this one guy went to the Romans to send a sacrifice and whatever.
That was the
Basically
Greeks.
just wanted
Those were the Greeks.
They were under Greek rule at that point.
Oh.
The first one was Greek rule.
No, the second one, the last temple.
The second
Did we
temple.
overlap with the Roman Empire?
Of course, yeah, we did. But what happened was when the Hasmonean leader Aristobulus said, well, there was two brothers fighting over wanting to rule Israel. So one, I think it was Aristobulus, sent to the Roman emperor, said, "We need your help." The minute they did that, look at all your history books. They say the Romans won without fire, quote unquote, without firing a shot. They didn't have to do anything. They just came in and they ruled, and we lost it. And so they had the vassal kingdom of let the Jews run their kingdom. They didn't care. They weren't into running kingdoms.
Right.
They just wanted the land. As long as you were peaceful with them and paid taxes, that's all they cared about. There's nothing else to it. They didn't want to. They weren't interested in running your country. They were, what do you call, absentee landlords. They'd send me my money.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Don't make any noise. Send me money. Support the system. Pave the roads. We'll pick up your garbage on time and leave you alone. And so what happened was the Jews weren't satisfied. Some Jews weren't satisfied with that. They wanted independence. They remember the good old days. So, okay. And so now the Romans had to come out against this nothing nation who stays at the head of the news cycle every day, doing something crazy. And so they come in and they destroy it.
Right, so I was just wondering for reference, because if I'm correct, the Eastern Roman Empire, Justinian, also had problems with Assassinids in the Persian Empire.
Oh, they all had problems with everybody.
Right, but I was just wondering, because those overlapped. But I was just wondering where Israel, the land of the proper temple Israel, was during that time. It was exiled.
That's destroyed.
Right, it was exiled.
By this time, it's way destroyed.
You're
in
talking about
241.
like 10 or 241.
But that was
70, it was destroyed.
Right, unified Rome, though, not.
That was unified Rome.
Right, okay.
Unified Rome.
That was still unified Rome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Constantine was 323,
Right.
right? Yeah. I'm getting my dates right. I want to make sure I get the dates right. But again, that's all assuming that I accept everybody's dating process too. So yeah.
By the time that happened, the Gemara was actually being codified right then. So
Yeah.
it's a couple hundred years after.
Right. By 500, this was actually by 400.
400, I think.
400. This is a closed book. 400 to 500. It depends on who you listen to again. But it's it comes to a screeching halt. We close it and we can't touch this book anymore, which is why it's interesting. Via halacha, the big guys, when I say big guys, I mean like Rav Moshe Feinstein, they say, I wasn't there obviously, poskin from the Gemara. In other words, he read the Gemara, he said, okay, there's a halacha.
Without reading everything else since then.
Right, and now when people say, well, what does it say? So then, suppose again, there's all Agarata of his updated Agarata. He would tell his students after he came off the thing, find some Rishonim now to back me up. Go, because he was ruling from here. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea if that's true.
They said the Rogachover also, he didn't do Rishonim.
Okay, there you go.
He did not read Rishonim.
There you go. So it's interesting that if I would ever try to pull that up, actually, if I would even try to contradict Shulchan Aruch, people would throw me out of the Orthodox world. So it doesn't matter. But if most of us would not be able to, certainly today, most of us are not trained to look at the Talmud and rule accordingly. And that again that's when you're a giant.
What about thing like the Vilna Gaon was?
Oh, so he could.
Yeah.
When you're a giant, you can do a lot of things. When you're not, when you're just a regular guy running through a Gemara, you don't think that you can rule from that, which is sometimes, by the way, a problem of the yeshiva world, where the kids come out and they learn through Shabbos or whatever they're learning, and they saw some heterim, and they want to chop those heterim. It's a Gemara. Okay, shkayach, it's a Gemara. Who cares? We don't rule like that Gemara. Leave me alone. Again, so you have to know.
What does Mishnah Torah say?
What?
And what is Mission Torah?
Yeah, it was Torah. You can't move from there.
Right.
You can't move from half these things. So, but that's what people like to do. They like to look and say, "Oh, the Rambam says this, Rosh says that." Yeah, who are you ruling by? So you have to rule by your Rav. You know, you have to. You're going to somebody who understands. Okay, let's go on. So it says that the Gemara stated earlier, and that was just going what we said before. The Gemara stated earlier that the realization of all dreams follows the mouth. The import of the dream depends upon the interpretation accorded to it. So now we have a story with that. Bar Hedya mafasher chel mehave. Bar Hedya, you're not going to like the story. Bar Hedya was interpreter of dreams. Mandi havle agra. As for one who gave him payment for his services, mefasher la malauta. So Bar Hedya would interpret the dreams very nicely. Mandalo yahavle agra, but if he didn't give him money, mefashale the gruuta, then he would not interpret a dream nicely. Pay, and you're in good shape.
Pay to play.
Pay to play. Good. So once Abai and Rava, these guys are they're partners throughout the whole Talmud here. Abai and Rava, they were in the same time period. Apparently they hung around. They like to have arguments. So here we go. So they were walking together, and they each dreamed the same dream, and they approached Bar Hedya to interpret it. It's fine. So Abai havle zuzah. Now Abai gave payment. He gave the zuzah payment. For Rava lo yivle, whereas Rava didn't give any money. Okay, we know the rules. And by the way, they didn't know the rule.
Oh.
If I know the rule that if you pay me, I'm going to interpret it well. Here's money. You know, there's no question about that. The thing is that we know, in retrospect, we know the rule, but the people going don't know the rules. So Bar Hedya is saying, okay, he gave me pay, I interpret it well. He doesn't pay well, I won't pay. I won't interpret it well. Okay, but he doesn't announce that. He doesn't have bad dream. Come to me. I'll tell you you're going to go to hell. It doesn't say that. There's no sign. Okay. Otherwise, it would be simple. So, So Rava, like I said, he didn't give him. So Amri, they said to him, Akrinan bechelmen. In our dream, they read to us the following verse: Shorcha tavuach le'enecha. Your ox will be slaughtered before your eyes, but you will not eat from it. That's from the curses in Tvarim. We have multitude of curses. That is what the curse. So what happens? The Rava Amrale, so it's a Rava who didn't pay him. So then he says, Pesid Iskach, your business will fail. And on account of your heart's great sorrow, you will have no interest in eating. That's what it means. You saw that your ox, they read to you that your ox will be slaughtered before your eyes and you will not eat from it. It's okay, you're going to go broke. La Abaya, and again he gave money. Amarle, Marvach Askach, your business will profit. And on account of your heart's great joy, you will have no interest in eating. Oh, beautiful. So the same exact dream, that's the important part, and you interpret it differently. Okay. So he says, Rashi explains that you'll be so satisfied with happiness, you'll have virtually no appetite for food. To read on others, question why Rava and Abaya seem to have so easily accepted the notion that dreams mean a different thing for each of them. This question becomes particularly difficult since, as we will see, Bar Hedya seems to openly show his prejudice. He consistently interprets a number of dreams in a favorable way for Abaye and an unfavorable way for Rava. So the Rava suggests that perhaps Bar Hedya spoke privately to each rabbi, and neither heard the dream interpretation given to the other. That's what we can look at. In other words, if you're both going to come together, and I'm costing going to do this, you're going to say, why him and why not me? Doesn't make sense. By the way, this is also a famous story. A woman comes to, in the old days, it's not so old actually, probably 100 years ago they had to do this. you bring your chicken. If the chicken was bloody, something was wrong, you slaughtered it. You weren't somebody slaughtered it. You bought the chicken in the store, from the butcher. Now you bring it to the Rav because you had a question on it. So it says that one person brought the chicken to the Rav. He looks at it and he sees, okay, there's a problem. He says, treif, it's no good for you. You have to give it away. Sell it. The next person comes in and it's an old woman and he looks at it, it's the same exact problem. So he says, you can go home, cook it for Shabbos. The guy says, wait a second, what's going on here? For her, it was the same problem. I saw it. For me, you said I have to throw it away. For her, you said she can use it. What's the difference? He said, you can afford to buy one. She's too poor. If I say no to her, she won't eat. There's an opinion that says it's good. For you, you're rich enough to buy it. The opinion wouldn't apply for you. It's a shasa d'chak, what we call a point of, how do you say shasa? It's a no-win situation, I guess. I don't know how to say shasa d'chak. It's a very pressed situation for her. For you, it's not pressed. So if you can do better, you should do better. So I told you it was treif. So we see that sometimes the same thing can be interpreted differently. Depends on what the parameter is. And if Rav wasn't being mean to one. Thank you. Extenuating circumstance. That's why you had to come today. Okay, just so I could get that. Extenuating circumstance. So sometimes it's the extenuating circumstance that will make it. But that Rav was really trying to do what's best. Here he's just a mercenary. So the question is, again, you know where you can see this today? Insurance versus no insurance. If you go to a doctor, and what's the first question they're going to ask you? What's your insurance? Oh, I have none. Oh, okay. Here, move here. You have insurance? Good. You're first. So you're going to be served last, and then they don't want to do anything because they won't get paid. So why should I work with you? The Bar Hedya is the same sort of situation. If you're not paying me, leave me alone. I'm not interested in you. So like I said, so you could say they're also seeing people at different things. So here we go. So now they come back. Amrulay, they said to him, Akrina, we have the verse again, our dream. They read a verse. It says, Banu Tolid. You will give birth to sons and daughters. But the verse continues, they will not be yours, for they will go into captivity. The Rava, again, he doesn't pay Rava. The Rava doesn't pay. The Rava Amalei, Kivishute, it means that this verse pertains to you according to its original negative meaning. That is, your children will be taken from you by marauders. That's okay, it's fine. Kivishuta, they'll be captured. And Abaye, who does pay, he says, Amra banach uvnatach nafisha, your sons and daughters will be many. Umenazvim banatach la'alma, your daughters will get married to husbands from other parts of the world. Umedaminen ba'apach kidika azlam b'shivya, and since they will live so far away, it will seem to you as if they have gone into captivity. But it's good, right? Your kids will get married, they'll have a nice life. They'll go away, and because they're so far away, it'll seem like they're in captivity. Because you won't see them anymore. That, by the way, the equivalent today is you get married in South Bend, and either you move to Eretz Israel, which is really like captivity at that point, because you really don't come home that often. You're really not going to see the kids that often, or you're going to Lakewood Eretz Kodesh or Muncie Eretz Kodesh, one of the Eretz Kodeshes. But where you go, and again, it's a 12-hour drive. So for some people around here, 12 hours is around the corner. But for most people, 12 hours is not around the corner. It's a joke when you say Lakewood, the holy city of Lakewood.
Oh.
It's a joke on Lakewood. Or same thing for New York.
I thought it was like a weird slur of Eretz or something.
No, Ir HaKodesh, the holy city. But if you go to any one of these places where 12 hours, 14 hours, that it was one of my things when I came to South Bend and my mother was in Boston. It's a 19-hour trek. To get in the car and drive. No, I'm sorry. It's 16-hour trek to get there is ridiculous. You won't come to do it. Not that often anyway. Okay, but it's like you're in captivity because you don't see them. So he would give him a nice interpretation as compared to Rava, which he doesn't. Again, you have a third one. Fine. So they come to him again. I would stop going to him, by the way. If I'm getting bad interpretations, I would just say, I think it's time to go to a doctor. Yeah.
Also, if you're having dreams that literally say your son's undoubtedly given to another people.
Right.
Maybe I won't go to this game.
When you get these strange dreams that are like actual quotes from like biblical verses.
Oh, no. Let's understand something. Okay, that's an interesting question. Why would they dream like this?
Right.
Okay? So that's I should have addressed that question. They would have dreamt like this because their entire life was one of study. And if God's speaking to you, He's going to speak to you in the language you understand. We've been talking the past nights how God uses other people to give us His message, right? If people say God doesn't speak to us, we're saying that's a lie. God does speak to you. You have to just listen. So when David says something to me, I have to listen to the message, not so much to David, but to the message. If he would, God forbid, insult me or whatever it's going to be, I should say, okay, Hashem, thank you so much for the message. What do I need to change? That's what we were saying yesterday. So, but I'm geared into English. I'm geared into that language. If he would start quoting to me, Bereshis bara Elokim Shamayim va'aretz, I'm going to look at him and say, what are you talking about? I don't know. So who do I even go for that? Okay, if I see that in my dream, suddenly I hear, again, Bereshis, in the beginning, Hashem created the heaven and the earth. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't even know who to go to for that. So I have no connection. So Hashem would not give that dream to me. What He would give to me, as a Balkri, I can tell you I've had this. This is what you call what do you call that? The dream when you're right before a test and you see you blanked out. What's it called? A stress dream? Something like that? You're stressed about something. In other words, you're about to take a test and you find yourself naked in the area. You find yourself without clothes. What's it called? A stress dream?
Dreaming, you mean?
Yeah, the dream of stress or something? Okay, just understand. Sometimes you have a dream, you're worried about something, so you dream that you've been exposed.
Yeah.
You're exposed. So what happened was, as a Baal Korea many times, I'll have it, well, not many times, thank God, but it's a horrible thing. But I'm looking at the Torah, and the Torah is blank.
In a dream?
Right. Well, hopefully. In reality, you need a new Torah. That's simple. In reality, you open up, it's blank, get a new Torah. But but you have or you can't read it, or it's skipping, or it's doing something. I would say, just simply, and anybody listening who knows psychology would say that is a dream of stress. What I'm stressed over at that point, who knows? It takes itself out on something like that. But I have to look at that. So now, let's say I'll be focused, though, on the curses. I would open up, and each time I opened up in my dream, comes to curses. So now I know Hashem is trying to tell me something. Or if I have that repetitive dream of seeing something, and I know Hashem is trying to teach me something, so again, I should look at it and say, okay, what's going on? What is being said to me? The worst thing, of course, is if you don't understand what's being said. In other words, you're reading it, and even though in reality I could translate it, there I can't suddenly translate it. There I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. That possibly was a dream of Nebuchadnezzar, by the way. Not only couldn't he remember what didn't know what the dream meant, he also didn't know what he dreamt. Which is, he goes to Daniel to say, okay, help me out here. And Daniel tells him what he dreamt. I mean, okay. So these guys, what should I dream? Here is what should I dream. There is what did I dream? And he has to figure out what he dreamt. But I'm saying that's really where it's coming from. So when you're seeing when they see the verses, it's because they're so tuned into Torah that that's what comes. And they know that Hashem is giving them a message. It's not that they were stuck on a verse, okay, as it were. It's not, and they know that it's not something from stress. It's not that they have a wedding coming up. This is what happened. They had this dream. And they were worried about what it meant. So they said, let's go to a dream. If they're not worried, they wouldn't go. Remember, out of all this, there's only 3 verses they're going to say. I have to assume that they had many more dreams than 3 dreams in all the years that they were alive. And by the way, Abaye would outlive Rava, if I'm correct, by 40 years. Rava dies at 40. Abaye dies, if I remember correctly, the right people. Abaye will live up to 80. And the reason, I think it's 40 years more, or 20 to 40 years, whatever it was. And the reason that he lives longer is because Rava was very involved in learning Torah, but it wasn't as involved in Gemilas Chasadim, acts of loving kindness, as Abaye was. So it's interesting. That's what the Gemara wants to say. Okay, let's go on. So, okay, one more. Let's get the last verse. So, again, they saw your sons and daughters will be given to other people. Abaye Amalei, so Abaye. Again, he tells, that's the one who pays. He says, your sons and daughters will be many when the time arrives to find marriage partners for them. Ad Amrat Karvich, you will say that they should be given in marriage to your relatives. Vihi Amr Lakriva, whereas your wife will say that they should be given to her relatives. And eventually she will coerce you to comply with her wishes, and you will give them in marriage to her relatives. In other words, nothing lost. That is the other nation, other people that it was referring to. The Rava Amar, to Rava who doesn't pay. He says, the bitu shechiva, your wife will die, following which you will remarry. And your sons and daughters will come to the hands of another woman, namely the stepmother. He's not being very nice to Rava, but that's what goes on. And then Barhedi quotes Rava's own teaching to support himself. He says to Amar Rava, that's the ultimate insult. Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Ava bar Amar Rav. What's the meaning of that when it says that your sons and daughters will be given to another nation? Zu Eishanav. This refers to the new wife of the father. So and Rav is equating a voluntary marriage, after which his children must submit to the rule of a woman who was foreign to them to the experience of actual bondage. And here, and by the way, for those who love fairy tales, this would be similar to Cinderella, where the father was originally rich, his wife dies, he gets remarried to the evil stepmother, with the evil stepsisters, and so on and so forth. So here again, and those daughters take over. So it'll be the same thing here. We'll have to stop here.